Welcome back to FC Smorgon with me, Lunar Loser 17. It is now the beginning of August. A few things going. A busy day actually today. It's transfer deadline day, and I also have a league match with Bate. This is in the middle of a match round, and I actually, well, I could have chose to go ahead and maybe wait a day for the transfer deadline to pass and the match with Bate to be played. It's consistent to try to do these on the first of the month. It's sort of a mixed bag of news since the last update at the beginning of June. We have now entered European competition. That's been going pretty well. The league form, however, we continue to flounder mid-table. Currently, we are 8th, albeit we have a match in hand on a number of teams around us. Currently, with the match in hand, we are 5 points behind Gommel, who's in 4th. However, our match in hand currently is against Bate, who's also one of the teams we're chasing. Finances have been a bit up and down. The European prize money has been helping. For a bit there, we were actually listed as insecure financially, which is a bad place to be, but we've actually climbed back to okay. Transfer news, there's a couple of things that I'll have to mention as well in this update. But I think first thing you want to know about is what's gone on since the beginning of June. So that was in the middle of a month-long break from league action, where we played one friendly to try to keep match sharpness up. When we resumed league action, it was with a 1-1 draw away at Gommel. We scored about an hour in. Kozel scores about an hour in. He's been my leading scorer this season. They get an equalizer in the 84th minute. That's a continued frustration from how this season has gone. Followed that up with a 2-2 home draw with Vitebsk, who are floundering down around the relegation zone. Went 1-0 down, came back, went 2-1 up before surrendering a 78th minute equalizer. Also in this match, Mironov missed a penalty before halftime, which actually would have opened the scoring at that point. He was taking the penalty because I gave Remish, our normal penalty taker, a match off because Remish had been in a goal drought. That was followed up with a 1-0 home win over Arsenal Dzerzhinsk. Not our best performance, but we finally got the breakthrough about an hour in. Alexander Nadolski with his first goal for the club. For our winger fullback signing that we actually spent money on last winter. He's actually done fairly well in his combination role. Then we moved to July, which was a very busy month. That opened with a 2-2 extremely frustrating draw with Shakhtar Sologorsk, the undefeated, at least at the time, league leaders. I think they have since lost. We went 2-0 up in this one, brace from Remish, scoring both goals right early in the second half. We had not played particularly well in the first half. I told the squad that. At halftime, we come out, kick off the second half. Mironov finds Remish. We score 12 seconds after the halftime kickoff. They responded 3 minutes after our second goal to pull within 2-1, but there had been no real injuries, and based on the goals and substitutions, I was not particularly happy when the ref showed a +5, because what had gone on in the second half did not justify that. 3, maybe 4 minutes I could see, not +5. And based on the score, you could have a pretty good idea what happens. They score at 95.02 to steal a point. It's safe to say I was not a happy camper after that. And I even remember in the press conference, like, yeah, I don't want to risk a reprimand by criticizing the refs after that result. Begin our European competition, or qualification, or European competition, yeah, with against a club from Gibraltar, St. Joseph's, and we came out blazing, is the best way to put this. I was down a couple of guys, Remus being one of them, who had picked up a knock in training just before the match. Maybe could have played, but I didn't want to risk him getting hurt and being out for longer. And besides, it gave me a chance to get Simone some additional action. But yeah, within 17 minutes, Kozul had scored 4 and had a 5th disallowed for being offsides. By the time the carnage was done, it was 6-1. They didn't score until after we'd scored, or just after we scored our 6th. I made a couple of subs in there to rest some guys with the busy schedule we were going to have. In between the 2 legs, we had a away match in the league to Dinamo Brest. Our rotated side didn't play all that great. Ends up a 2-2 draw. We went 1-0 and 2-1 down and pegged them back right away, pretty much right away both times. Simone and Gasmi being our goal scorers. Follow that up with the second leg with St. Joseph's. We didn't get off to the best start in this one. St. Joseph's actually took the lead at home, and then Remus, who was back for this match, comes out and scores a hat trick, and Boulay, the fourth string striker, adds a brace and a rare start. All of those before halftime. So 5-1 on the night, 11-2 on aggregate. We were the only team to put up double digits over the 2 legs in the first qualifying round. Following that, we had a league match with Energetic at home. Found back-to-back wins in competitive matches for the first time all season, with a fairly dramatic 3-2 win, a match where we really didn't play well. So this was maybe a bit of an undeserved result. We went 1-0 and 2-1 down again. They scored 5 minutes in. Gasmi gets the equalizer 22 minutes in. They get another goal half hour in. Gasmi responds again in first half stoppage time. And then Simone comes off the bench, finds a winner with a quarter of an hour to go. Big win in the league. Energetic's a mid-table side. And then next up in the second qualifying round of the Europa Conference, we got IFK Mariehamn, which is a Finnish side. Stiffer test, to be sure. We get a couple of goals early from our strikers, Remus and Kozul. And then Kozul provided a little bit of further insurance in the 75th minute with a comfortable 3-0 win. Follow that up, again, a fairly rotated side away to Dinamo Minsk. And there's no nice way to put this. We got hammered. Basically, none of our guys turned up for this one. We did get it into the locker room at halftime 1-1. but they just dominated the match. So we were fortunate to be 1-1 even into the last quarter of an hour, and then a guy that they had just signed ends up adding a pair of goals in 2 minutes to complete his debut hat trick. They run out 3-1 winners. They're a solid second in the league this season. I knew that was going to be a tough match, but it was not encouraging that we did not play well. And then the second leg with IFK Marie Ham. Again, a match where we did not play well, which is a bit concerning coming into this Bate match. They scored early. Fortunately, then we at least tightened down enough to keep them from making things really interesting. And then Simone comes off the bench again to find a 90th minute equalizer, so ends up 1-1 on the night, 4-1 on aggregate. So coming up in the third round, we will be playing IFK Norrköping, who are a Swedish side, which will be a fun test, or tough test for us, especially in this string of matches that we've got, because we're away to Bate next in the league, and then we host Torpedo Zodino in the league. Normally you would see us play the second round Belarusian Cup match in late July. That's now middle of August because we keep advancing in Europa Conference. The other Belarusian sides are also doing pretty well in Europe. Last season's champions, Shakhtar Sologorsk, actually won their first qualifying round match, which was the first Belarusian side that we've seen in the save win their first round qualifying match in the Champions League before they lost and got dropped down to the Europa League qualifiers. As for the three of us who were in Europa Conference from the start, we're all still alive going into the third qualifying round. So we're having a good year in Europe for Belarus, which will help our coefficient and maybe get us towards getting some better places where we're maybe not having to play the opening qualifying round. As far as highlights go, I think the two matches I'll show are these back-to-back matches. The frustrating draw with Shakhtar Sologorsk and then our European debut, because I'm sure that the European debut is the match most people will be interested in. So yep, it was 0-0. This was 0-0 at half. Mironov sends it up. Greenish puts it under the keeper's arm. 12 seconds into the second half. And then Greenish off the set piece. Raffleson finds Greenish's head. And then, like I said, like 3 minutes later, they get the ball on the edge. A little disappointing that they were able to squeeze that in near post, but you don't expect to keep the league leaders in scoring shut out for 90 minutes. And then, yeah, the rebound that we didn't clear for the late equalizer at 95:02. And then the second match we'll watch the highlights or the goals for. Here is our demolition of St. Joseph's from Gibraltar. Basel, third minute from the spot. A couple of his 4 goals were actually from the spot. And then ball played ahead, and he just barely squeezes that inside far post. And again from the spot, 11th minute, completes his hat trick. And then after that, he has been disallowed in the 14th minute. And then here's his fourth against slotted far side past the diving keeper. Now close to halftime. Working the ball around well. Belushko. A rare goal for him. That was like his second of the year. And then Roppelson finishes our scoring with a direct free kick. I think that was his first goal of the season. And then pretty much right off the kickoff, yeah, it gave them an away goal, but with the lead we had, we were never really in threat or never really in danger of throwing that away. So on the transfer front, there's a couple of things going on here. With the severe lack of U21 Belarusians we've got, I spent more money than I really felt comfortable with to bring in Andrei Mishenko on loan from Lokomotiv Moscow. I'm paying his full wage of $7.25 a week. He's actually got a couple of league appearances for me as I've been rotating the side pretty heavily. So Kravolkin's been playing the European matches, and Mishenko handled the last couple of league matches. Hasn't played all that great, averaging only a 6.5. Crossing's a little bad. There's a couple other things that aren't necessarily great, but he's a solid squad option. I got him in as a squad player, so I have some coverage that he won't necessarily play a whole lot probably once we're out of Europe. That fickle personality, that's not great either, but he is only in on loan. So 20-year-old Belarusian, so he's helpful towards that U21 Belarusian requirement that we have. And as you may have noticed in the quick glance at the transfer center here, Galvin is leaving on an end of contract. Galvin being my number 3 center back, 25-year-old Argentinian, driven, good personality. He's been a decent player. Problem is he's my third option, and he wanted important player. I couldn't guarantee him that. So negotiations between us broke down, and while that was in its cooling off period, Minsk came in, reached a deal with him, so he'll be joining them next season. If I can make some really late business happen, I would maybe see if I can get him to go or get an agreement with Minsk to be that where they could take him now. But that would require me getting a last minute signing in, which isn't that likely because of the couple guys I have in. The center back I would be most apt to sign is this Daniel Pujanov, but he wants way more than I can realistically offer. He's a nice player. I'd really like to have him in, and he's like same age as Galvin, but it's the fact that, yeah, he wants, here, I'll pull it up even, star player, yeah, but just to sort of make the point, he wants 2.4K per week. I can't even offer that. The best I can do is like 1.7. So it's highly unlikely I'll be able to land him, and there's not really good options because it's like Martin Lurea. I'd really be looking at him more as like a potential replacement right back. Larrea is another guy I have in on trial now because he's only 5'8". That's not tall enough really for a center back, even though he technically can play there. But yeah, so finances are actually looking pretty solid right now. Plus we've got additional European money still coming in with the next round. I also have not gotten the sponsorship money in yet. At this point, I'm guessing I won't see that until I'm knocked out. But now our projections don't look as bad. I have no idea what to expect really when it comes to what the board might do depending on how far we go. Because like if we get to the Europa Conference group stage, that's like a $2 million payday for reaching that point. The board, I'm not ruling out the possibility that the board may take some of that money and pay off the remaining balance on the loan we've got, so that that's done with. But as far as like the Belarusian Cup goes, our second round match is Belshina. We've played them a couple of times. We've beaten them like all 3 times. Let's see if I can I'll pull this up here quick. I'm trying to remember. I've looked this up when we played them before. They were in our league like the first season we promoted up, and then we played them in a friendly a couple of years later. But we've won all 3 matches. They haven't even scored against us. However, with my history in the Belarusian Cup, I'm not taking any. I can't take anything for granted there, and that might even be pushed back further depending on what happens with the Europa Conference League. Because I think if I win the 3rd round, the 4th round is that following week again. So squad-wise, like average rating, Boulay, our 4th string striker as the top rating right now. Actually, the top 3 guys are all strikers, because then it's Kozil and Remish who picked up the average ratings a bit here recently. And then Kaborda, who also rarely plays, is the only other guy that's averaging 7 or better. A few guys in like the 6-9 range, so we're seeing fewer routinely bad ratings. Like our lowest average rating starter is Ransjo, the new Swedish center back, who's on a 6.72 average for the season. Makarenko's played a fair bit, always as a starter, averaging a 6.57. He's sort of a rotational, so he's not full-time starter at this point. As far as like goal leaders, it's Kozil at 13, Remish with 9. Of course, like 5 of Kozil's are in Europe, so he's only got like 8 in the league. Remish, of course, had that hat trick in Europe as well. Simone with 5 is 3rd on the squad. And then we got a few guys with 1 to 3. Nobody really jumping out there. As far as best at getting the ball are being the facilitators, Mironov again at 9. And then it's a bunch of guys with 1 to 3 again. But so we are in decent, not terrible shape. Of course, we're done playing with Dynamo Minsk, fortunately, but because in the league, it's Shakhtar and Dynamo Minsk who, for the most part, sort of run off. Actually, Minsk has sort of joined them as sort of a three-team breakaway that we should really be up and in. But we've drawn 8 matches in the league. We drew 8 of our first 15. That's really not acceptable. Well, yeah, we're plus 3 goal difference, so it's sort of hard luck. We just keep giving up late equalizers. Like within the last quarter of an hour is the big thing that's been holding us back in the league. Because there's probably 3 or 4 times this season. I haven't actually gone and actually counted, but I think there's 3 or 4 times this season we've given up an equalizer inside the last 15 minutes. So it's definitely a mixed bag. Injury-wise, we're fairly healthy. Gasmy pulled a groin here recently. He's out for a few more days. But I think I've covered everything for right now, so thank you for watching this video. If you want to check out the save on Twitch, I'll of course have the link to that to my channel there in the description. I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you in a couple of months.